Okay, welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Obviously, we've got the match preview today, Leicester v Aston Villa. It's a tough game. We've kind of been expecting by now that Rodgers might have been sacked. He's not been, as far as, recording this on Wednesday. So we're going to go into today's game, Reedy. We've got Villa, tough opponents. They drew to Man City, and quite frankly, they should have beat them last weekend. So what do you expect going into it this weekend?
I've said that this is the last straw for me with Rodgers. It's kind of like, out of all the teams to play against, you're probably your best favourites to play as either a Bournemouth or a Villa at the moment. Yes, they got a draw against Man City, but I don't know, was Man City off form? Were Villa just too good for them? I don't know, but again, they've only got 2 points now and one more than us. So realistically, we've got to go into this game looking for a win. If that's with Rodgers in charge or not, either way, this has to be a must-win now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a must-win with Rodgers in charge or not. I think a lot of fans are definitely on the Rodgers outside now, so it's a bit confusing as to why he's not gone yet. We've heard that the rumour is about £10 million will be his buy-off, which is initially not as bad as we think or we thought it would be. So, I think we've got to say, we've just got to go into this game and hope we win, but it's, paving over the cracks a little bit with Rodgers, at the helm of it. If he goes in and wins the game, it doesn't solve anything. I think a lot more fans will say, Rodgers can do the job, but there'll be 4 points out of 21 then by that point. So it's a bad start to the season. It's one of our worst starts to the season, and I think the stats are 11 clubs have been in this position before with 1 point out of 6 games, and 8 of them have been relegated. So
I think I don't know what teams they are, but I'm guessing there's quite a few teams in there that weren't like before the season. People weren't expecting them to be that bad.
I think Palace was one about 4 years ago, and they obviously survived on about 45 points in the end. But I think they had a change of manager.
I think they had what was his name? What we call him?
Roy Hodgson.
That's it. Yeah. I bet he's the sort of person that will keep somebody up.
That's why I think we need to get Rodgers out, because I think even Rodgers out now, like Phil was saying. He wants to go, he wants a paycheck, he wants to go on to his next chapter, and Matt Piper said he's talking to his future employer now, or employee, should we say. He's gonna look in for his next job now, and he could even be sat after the Villa game for all we know. So we've got some players to talk about as well now.
So the first one is Daniel Iverson. A big one because a lot of people are slating Ward at the moment for what he's doing wrong. Yes, you can't complain for all the goals that were conceded, but it's just now. Surely you have to change it. So if you're in charge of Leicester City now, in Rodgers' eyes, you've got to change something to see if it changes around. As well, he might not be the change. He might not make the difference, but with Ward being in goal and season 16 goals in goal, you kind of have to make some difference.
I agree that I think Ward has to come out of the team, and I think majority of fans would say that after the Sunday performance against Brighton, he was beyond poor. His distribution, his saving was bad. Just everything he wasn't. There's nothing to say that he did good after conceding 5 goals. I'm not saying it was all his fault. I'd love to see Iverson in goal against Villa, but he's not going to play. And Rodgers has openly said that it wasn't all Danny Ward's fault. After the Brighton game, he said he's only as good as the people he's got in front of him, which in my eyes is him saying he's going to start against Villa. I've chosen him to be number 1, and no offence, but this is where all of the things, that little pieces of the puzzle doesn't match.
Yeah.
Owners not giving the funds to buy a new keeper after we sell Casper 3 days before the Premier League starts, he leaves. So there's that one piece, and the second piece, he makes Ward number 1. He gives him number 1 spot. If you drop him after 6 games, you're saying you've openly dropped the keeper you thought was best, which means he's not made the right decision. And number 3, he's too stubborn to play Iverson. Iverson should be in that team. He had a decent performance against Stockport when we beat them on penalties. He made, I think, 3 saves. I don't know the League 2 side, but it's hard to make saves against penalty. I think he needs to, start him, because we're working with what we've got at the moment. I don't think we're really going to be able to get a keeper in at this point in time. I'd take Ben Foster on a free. I think he at least has the experience and the quality. I mean, you could go on and on about keepers, and I'd love to see Iverson have the chance against Villa, but under Rodgers, I don't think it's going to happen.
All I'm going to say is I told you so, because at the start of the season, people weren't the most favoured that I was saying that Iverson should be in goal, and yes, he's not had any Premier League experience, but for what he's shown from last season in the Championship and now in one game alone, you'd probably back Iverson over Ward at the moment.
You've got to play what you've got. Yeah. Ward playing bad, and it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, Rodgers has also not been playing players at position. I think we'll move on to our next person now, which, Fai's how we say his name. His visa was not ready to play against Brighton. Again, we've got so many visa problems at the moment. We're wasting so much time. We knew Fafana was going to go. We knew for about 3 weeks he was going Chelsea.
Oh, you might.
Yeah, I think everyone else saw that he was going. So I know obviously we're waiting for the money to come in to sign him, but we spent so long messing around. We've had 3 weeks before Fafana was even sold to sort him out, and his visa messed up, and we had to play Ndidi again at centre back, which he's not a centre back, and we saw that against. If Rodgers plays him on Saturdays at centre back, Rodgers is a clueless manager if he keeps playing him like they have been. The same. I think it just all talks about the all-around positions. We played Maddison on the wing. You said that Barnes wasn't the right choice to start in that game. It's a bit like, I agree. If we're playing with wingers who aren't wingers, like Maddison's not wing. We had 2 strikers up front. We need to be central and lump it forward.
So you don't put Barnes when you've got 2 strikers up front. You either go 1 striker, 2 wingers, or 2 strikers, no wingers.
We had Tielemans who did that one lovely over-the-top ball. He only did 1 in the game, by the way. That was the only time we did it. And what did we do? We scored. We played to Daka's strengths 1 time in the match, 1 time, and he scored.
Yeah, well, the thing I want to talk about with FaZe is if he has got his visa now, he has to start against Villa, surely. You don't play Ndidi in the back line again. If Amati's back fit, you don't even start him. He's got to be in that back line.
He is the replacement for Fafana, so he has to come in and do his job. Villa is going to be a very tough game. I think Rodgers, if he's here, he needs to play to his strengths. I don't want to say he's playing bad on purpose to get sacked, because obviously that's such a negative thing to do. But I'm not going to lie to you. Everything he's doing at the moment just screams he wants out of the club.
I do get that.
His changes against Brighton, we were 3-4-2 down, and then he brings on another defender. It's why are we're playing to lose? We played to lose. For me, when we took Barnes off, I know it might not have been the right decision, but when we bring a defender on, we're playing to lose. That shows me we're going to sit back with 5 defenders.
I don't know for that. I think the way I saw it was he was trying to combat their same formation. They were playing for it at the back with 2 wing backs. We wanted to try and play it so it could combat the wide positions they had, and it just didn't work. With someone like Thomas going into the back line, you just can't lose yourself.
Like I said, when we had 3 centre backs on the pitch, and because obviously Files wasn't available, we had 2 of those centre backs who were not centre backs. We had Thomas playing as a centre back, and he's not even a good left back in my eyes. He needs to get some time out and loan in a Championship club, a bit like Chowdhury's doing.
Yeah.
And Ndidi, again, I think he's a sound, central defensive midfielder when he's got the ball and he has to tackle it and pass it. But Rodgers, he doesn't play him as the way he wants to be played, and that's what I said. But Sean Dyche has obviously been the name that's been rumored. Everyone's heard his TalkSport interview by now, and he said. Everyone thinks he's a negative player and he's only plays for defence, but he said that's the strength he had at Burnley. He said he plays to play his strengths, which is why I think we should get him in, because
I do agree with that.
The amount of players we've got that we play to their strengths, so we play our back 4 that's best. And Ndidi, he's a great tackler, but when we're trying to play through, that's why Soumane's been playing more, because he can handle the ball better. But Ndidi, again, he's not been utilised very well.
We've got enough midfielders. I'd say we've still got quite a good attack. It's the defence that we're really lacking, and it just shows 16 goals conceded. That's where, for me, Ward has to come out. Someone like Ndidi has to come out of that defence and just go with your main back 4. And you can trust in Castagna, JJ, and then now Faiz and Evans for me. And like I say, even Rodgers has said that someone like Soonchi is just nowhere near the level, so what's the point in him even trying at training? So this guy has to come in and show his quality now.
I agree, but I think that's another downfall to Rodgers' tactics. I mean, what kind of message does that send if your manager saying he's having a bad, training session? I mean, I think you said with Maddison was down in the dumps a little bit, not playing to his strengths, and Rodgers pulled him out and said, listen, you're a great player. But Rodgers has lost his spirit to be a Leicester manager. If Soonchi said, okay, you're playing bad, you can F off then to another club. We don't don't want to pull you back in, I don't want to get you motivated. And Swinchie was a really good defender, and like you say, form's temporary. You know, his bad form would come back, and his good form would come back eventually, and he just needs the boost.
And what's like, how's he going to improve by going to a Turkish league? Don't get me wrong, it could still be quite a high level league, but
you got to think
compared to the Premier League,
someone like Swinchie Galatasaray is the biggest club in Turkey, and he is from Turkey himself. Yeah. It is like a Leicester fan, you know, probably saying, "Oh, let's go play for the biggest club in England," or not Leicester, an English person coming to play for the biggest club in England, like going to Man City. It's like, yeah, not really going to pass it up.
Going into a more positive note for me, is Patson Daka.
Yeah,
I think with him and Kel starting at the weekend against Brighton, yes, we conceded 5, but them two alone got the goals, and I thought they played well. I'm glad Rodger got dropped, to be honest. He came on in the late minutes, but again, both players scored in that front line for us. I think they have to start again against Villa.
I agree. I think they do need to start. I think he had a decent game. I'm not going to say he had a great game. I think that my issue is, I'm going to say it again, we played him to his strength at one time and he scored. That's for me. He needs to be played with that fast
over the top. Obviously you can't do that all the time.
No, you can't. But Rodgers probably hasn't done. I said he probably told Tielemans to not do that again in the game, because that's not how he wants to play. He wants to do a tiki-taka ball around the back, sling it up to the wingers, run into the box, cross it. That's just how he's playing it. He'll play that until the final minute, and again, that's why I think he needs to go as a manager, because against Villa, he can play Daka and Nacho, there you go, all he likes, but if he's not using them to their strengths, what's the point? Nacho's a great holding player, he gets the ball, he's not, he's got a good foot on him, so he can shoot outside the box, he knows how to pass it in the box, he can get it to Daka, who is, a bit of just a tapping merchant, but that's all he needs to be, one-on-one, slide past the keeper like he did against Brighton, and it's not hard to see how we play to our strengths, but when we're doing it around tiki-taka, passing it around, we're trying to create it through the midfield of a midfield we don't have. We have Maddison, who is probably one of the best creative English midfielders in the league, and he's playing on the wing, and he has done most of the season.
Yeah, and I think that's mainly because we've not got another winger in. Because obviously, when we do play,
but then you play Albrighton. He is.
I do get what you mean, but I feel like Rodgers, with the tactics-wise plays, if he plays 2 strikers, he still wants that kind of wide player in someone like Barnes, and that's why he did play against Brighton. And then he does have sort of Maddison, not central, but kind of flowing about to try and help out.
But he's in no man's land. The players have come out and said they don't know how to play Rodgers' tactics. They've said that ever since he's changed it, and ever since he's trying to adapt for the past year into whatever he wants to do, Rodgers' tactic, they've all said they don't know how to play under that ball. And Daka, for me, not to try and sound harsh, he can be a good player. He's not been used well for starters. I don't understand at all why Rodgers signed him. Because that was not Rodgers' tactics, was to not play with someone like Daka. If Rodgers went out and signed a big number 9, someone like Mitrovic that gets in the box, has a good foot on him, got a good head, it'd make more sense. Daka, he's a skinny, whippy guy that's going to go running around the box. And I'm not saying he's bad, I'm just saying, why would Rodgers sign a player like that?
I'd probably say the opposite, because when Rodgers first came in, he was praising Vardy so much because of how good he is and how he uses
But he changed the tactics. I
don't know about changing the tactics that much. I think we just kind of lost how we played.
He changed how we played. With Vardy in that, we still played that nice passing it around the box. At the moment, we're just trying to pass it around the back, get it on the wings and cross it. That's all we're trying at the moment. We don't play it through
I don't think we've got the players and confidence in the team at the moment to be a bit more confident through the middle instead of being wide.
We don't play them through the middle, so we can't say our best players are in the middle of the park. Maddison, Tielemans, Drewsbury Hall, Soumaire even at times. Indeed, all our best players are in that midfield of the park at the moment, and they're not being utilised, which is why you see Maddison losing confidence. Tielemans, he's playing too deep of a role. He's playing more of a CDM, and it doesn't suit him. And he's playing as a centre back. He's not a centre back. Soumaire drops into that team. He's not been eased into it. He's gone straight into the team, and he was good. He played decent against Brighton. He's still been one of the better players. But that's because that's how Rodgers wants to play. He's playing that one player in Soumaire in the way Rodgers wants to play it. All the rest of the team is not being utilised because they're not. That's just not how they've been taught to play. That's not who the players they kind of are. So.
And then going into the final topic is the main man. For me, I said on a live stream the other day that if Ward starts against Villa, I'm out, because that's the one thing I think everyone knows that needs changing. Again, it might not make us win either way, but that's the one change that it has to happen for us to have any change. And if he wants to try and improve and stay at the club, he needs to make them decisions right.
You know he's not going to.
No, I know he's not.
And he doesn't want to stay at the club.
No.
He's never going to openly say he wants out of Leicester City, but it's so obvious he wants to leave the club now. I mean, we've seen highlights of when he was first there, his passion when we scored. Even when we scored, not 50 seconds into the game against Brighton, he's just there, little clapping on the side. He's not doing anything. You know, he's not a manager to rile up the players. You know, he's just there to get his paycheck and walk out. I've heard he's on about 200 grand a week at Leicester, which is ridiculous money.
I do see points of why people want him out, and again, he's not making the right decision for me now. So I'm starting to kind of question him why he's doing stuff.
Obviously everyone's saying who'd you get in to replace him, and I think Sean Dyche is, a very good option. I had a little rumour apparently he was in Foss Park the other day shopping, which is a bit. We know he's in East Midlands area, but I think he's in about. I don't know whereabouts he is, but I think I've heard it's about out of his area.
With what Tom said about him saying he works to the players' strengths and stuff like that, I do agree, and he did say that people only think of him in one way, and that's just absolute shit.
You've got to think from the owner's point of view. They want someone cheap and reliable now. Rodgers, it's going to cost them a lot of money to sack him, but they've got to do it, because it's either sack him or we're in a relegation battle. And we're already in that kind of form of relegation battle. Sean
Dyche did get Burnley Europe in the first season, I think.
Yeah, he got them, and he had no money. Yeah. Over the 3, 4, 5 seasons he was there, he spent £20 million, I think. It wasn't, mega money on what Rodgers has had 220 million. He's had 200 million more than what Burnley did, and not to sound harsh, Rodgers' players, they've not been great. A lot of Rodgers' success has come off, in my eye, Puel's, style.
Yeah, I do get you, but
Rodgers has brought in quite a lot of average players, and I think the odd one, you hear about Fofana, but if you can tell me anyone else that Rodgers has brought in that's done well, I'd like to know. Castagna, maybe. I think he came in the Rodgers again. I think he's above average. I think he's international level. I think, again, he's a confidence player. He's lost his confidence since he's had 2 or 3 nasty injuries on the bounce, and he's coming back to fitness. Justin as well, he's a really good signing, but he's coming back from injuries. So it's not all down to Rodgers, but he's not got. I think he's lost the fire in his heart to play to be the manager.
Yeah, I'd say that. And again, we want your opinions on kind of the situation with Rodgers. There's so many people saying out, so many people saying in. Well, there's a lot more saying out than in at the moment, but we wanted to know your thoughts. Sam is, I think, out. I'm still literally on the edge, because
you've got 2 feet over the fence now.
Like I say, if Ward starts that game against Villa, my legs and body are going to go.
If he does start the game against Villa, what does that show? Does that show that we're setting up to lose almost, or?
I don't know, because it depends how the whole 11 sets up. If Ward's sitting goal,
the keeper's a keeper. They don't move. They still save balls and that. A keeper plays in the same position every week. So why does Ward get into that team over Iverson this week? Again, I think that's just because Rodgers is stubborn if he plays him, and he doesn't care about how we do anymore. At the end of the day, he's not a Leicester fan like we are. He's just there. He wears that badge just to get his paycheck. He doesn't wear it because he wants to be there anymore, in my eyes. He's a bit of a done-out manager, and he needs to leave. And I think Top needs to stop messing around. Otherwise, it could be 1 point after 21 games, it could be 1 point after 24 games. Keep saying, it's only 6 games, it's only 7 games. So it keeps going up and up and up.
But for me, this is his biggest chance now to. Out of all the teams that played, this is the one where, yes, maybe Brentford and Southampton were a bit of a dodgy one. This game now.
Over the cracks.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to say we win.
He needs to get sacked. He should be sacked now. Even if we beat Villa 6-7-0, he needs to get sacked. One win is not good enough after the start he's had. We should be on at least 8 points. We should have beat Brentford. We should have beat Southampton. We should have got a draw against 10-man Chelsea. Against Brighton, they're on form. We shouldn't let 5 goals in. I'm sorry, we shouldn't.
Again, for me, that comes to partly the keeper, but again, it's not all down to him. But
no. Anyway, as obviously we can go on for ages about it. For all we know, we could be talking here, and we've not checked the phones. Could be sacked right now. So.
Oh yeah, could be. Yeah, you never know.
Right now, as it is Wednesday, we're doing a preview show. Rodgers is the manager. He could be sacked tomorrow. He could be managing on Saturday, for all we know. So, like you say, have your views in the comments down below. Who would you replace Rodgers with? Is he the man to take us forward still? Some people still think he is the right man. It'd be good to know why. I've not really heard a reason why people think he's a good man to take us forward anymore. So have you seen the comments down below? Cheers.